And so welcome everyone to this virtual presentation from the Da Vinci Science Center. This is a really exciting opportunity for us to take a look at the new facility that's going to be downtown, really across the street from where the LVCF office is right now at 9th and Hamilton. And as I always say, these are our presentations for our fund holders and our partners to get an in-depth look at one of our other nonprofit organizations here in the Lehigh Valley. Gives everybody a chance to experience what's going on in Lehigh Valley. Today, sorry, I was getting all these like pop-up messages about things. Today we welcome MaryEllen Dickey and Lin Erickson from the Da Vinci Science Center. They're going to share their presentation with us. And of course, there's time for questions. You can put them in the chat box or save them for the end if there's time. And otherwise, we can get started. So thank you all for being here.
That Lin and I are thrilled to be here today. We are really excited to have folks interested in this project because it is really cool. It is a very exciting project. I'm the Chief Philanthropy Officer here, so I'm spending a lot of time trying to get the funding here. And Lin, of course, is the Executive Director and President, and this has been her life's work. So I kind of bogarted her earlier when I was asked to do this and said, you know, Lin, I want you to be a part of this because doing a presentation without Lin with this group would be crazy. But we're very excited to be here. I am uncertain how many of you've been to the Da Vinci Science Center over on the Cedar Crest campus, but I would assume that everyone's reasonably familiar with where we are. And that center, the Da Vinci Science Center, has been around since 1992. It started at Lehigh University. Not sure if you all knew that. And in 1995, we then moved it to the south side of Bethlehem, where we opened our doors to visitors. And then in 2005, we moved to this building that we built that you see in front of you. This building has about 30,000 square feet, and it has been a tremendous home to students and families and community folks for many, many years. This building is something that has really helped our local community understand science, understand STEM education. And of course, our mission is to bring science to life and lives to science, which Lin will refer to as we move through this. We really want students and children to come to our facility and participate in our programs, to invite them to imagine what could be, imagine where they could be, understanding the different types of sciences, and in many cases, put them in a position to ask questions and be very curious about how things are made. If you think about everything in our life is made, and that is what the Da Vinci Center is all about, imagination, curiosity. Leonardo da Vinci is our namesake, and of course, he's the quintessential example of art, design, mathematics, engineering, technology. And so we're very thrilled to be sharing his name at the Da Vinci Center.
Anyway, thank you for having me back today. I've missed all of you. Lehigh Valley SCORE, as Alice stated, is...
Okay, we good? Okay. So this next slide, basically at our center, people think that in many cases that everything we do is just in our center, but we have a very robust programmatic environment in the summer and in our schools. We place everything we do in kind of three buckets. Those of you who've been to the center, we have an interactive exhibit environment there that right now is really focused on younger children. But as Lin will move into some information about our new building, that will be available to all the age groups. We have everything from young students clear up to adults and family education when we move to that new building. Right now, the exhibits in our building cater to the younger children, as I'd mentioned. But our traveling exhibits, which we have coming throughout the center once or twice a year, is open to everybody, and really we encourage everybody to attend. I know that coming into the spring of this year, we will have a really interesting and fun light exhibit, and so you'll hear more about that as we move forward. Our second picture here really demonstrates our hands-on science programs that we have at the center, but we also have and we have these year round. We have them for camps, we have them after school and on weekends. And then of course, our huge and very robust outreach program, which is our third picture here, is where we go into the school districts. And the schools, we have found in many cases, some are very well equipped, but many of our urban schools are not as advanced in science capital. So a lot of those students are not getting a lot of the STEM education at the level that maybe some of the other schools are. And we want to be a partner with those school districts, and have been a partner with those school districts to assist them in STEM education. The other thing that's really, really important to us is providing access to those underserved populations, or those populations that are challenged with financial components. We do not want those to be a barrier to attending any of our camps, any of our programs, or coming to the center. So we spend a lot of time also trying to fund access and working with our different school districts to provide access to our organization. If you move to the next slide, you'll see that this talks a little bit about why we are building our new building. We have approximately 150,000 participants in our current building right now. And we have had a really, really great year this past year, even during COVID. Of course, we have CDC regulations in place, but everyone seems to be fine with that. They're bringing their kids, they're coming. We're watching how we're taking care of ourselves health-wise there and with all of our visitors. But we have had a tremendous environment these past months during COVID. I think people are just really wanting to get out. I think they want to get out, they want to see what's going on. And the Science Center is a great place for them to learn about the sciences and to learn a little bit about the pandemic. And we are creating that environment for our community. But what is happening is that we're outgrowing that facility. And so we have to build a new facility. And we're extending our reach with this new facility to about 20 counties in a 100-mile radius around Allentown. So if you move to the next slide, Lynn, I think we'll show you where that's going to be. This is the front of the new Science Center, which will be located on Hamilton. This is the front entrance off of Hamilton Street. And then you can see the spiral deck there to the left in the back. And if you can visualize the large parking lot between Hamilton Street and the spiral deck, that is where the rest of our building will be. So you can see the rest of our building peeping up behind that dinosaur sign. And we are going to be going from about 30,000 square feet to about 72,000 square feet. So this new building is going to be quite large, and it's going to have a lot of really fun zones in it and possibilities for all the different types of levels of visitors that we're going to have. And Lynn will go over that. Lynn, if you can move to the next slide. This is the back side of the building. And in front of you is 8th Street. And where that bus is an extension street that we will Court Street, which we will be, if you're familiar, the spiral deck would be to your right, which you don't see. And the Montessori school is right there. And we're extending that alley down to connect 9th and 8th Streets so that we will have our buses to be able to run down through there and drop off our students at the backside of our building, which is the Da Vinci STEAM Learning Center. And that is where all of our classrooms will be and our education, in-house education will take place. Lynn, can you move to the next one, please? Thank you. This gives you an aerial view of our location. You can see Hamilton Street and how large that site is and where the streets are. Okay, Lynn, next slide. This impact that we will have in the Allentown area is going to be tremendous. It's going to be transformative. With our studies, we have expectations of over 400,000 to 450,000 visitors. There will be a tremendous number of new jobs created and a tremendous economic impact to downtown Allentown. But more importantly than that, the reach that we will have within the circle over here that Lynn is talking about is we have over, well, it says 72% of our households are low to moderate income, and many of them are living in this area right here. There's over 52,000 residents within walking distance of our new site. And we will be engaging those households to come and visit and participate. We'll be partnering with all of our community partners to make sure that everybody's invested and feels welcome to our new facility. Next slide, Lynn. Here's our timeline. If you drive downtown to Allentown over the next month or two, you'll start to see a lot of activity. We'll be groundbreaking over the next couple weeks and into the next month. And our public opening will be the first quarter of 2024. And you can see our timeline there as to what we'll be doing, what we'll be working with over the next 2 years. So we're very, very excited. This is happening now. There will be a lot of things starting to happen in March through this first quarter, and then our opening in 2024. So Lynn, to the next slide. And again, I've mentioned this before, and this is a really good slide that talks about the integration of engineering, technology, mathematics, our design and art. And again, this is the space where we want our students and our families to learn to be curious and imagine the students to imagine themselves in possibly a career in STEM. The other interesting and fun part about this building downtown is we have found that a lot of the local residents do not have health care. And because there is a large component in this building that talks about your body and health care, this building can be used to do some education to our communities and to our families, things that maybe they would be curious about, but do not have access to learn about. And Lynn will go through that as we move through our slide deck here. Lynn, the next slide. I'm going to stop right here and ask, that's kind of background questions. I moved through that pretty quickly because I wanted to leave a lot of time for Lynn to go through the building. Are there any questions that anybody has about what we're currently doing and the ramp up or the runway to the new building or location, any of the things that I've talked about? Carrie, are there anything in the chat room that we need to address?
Nothing new in the
Nope.
chat.
Okay, so I'm going to hand this over to Lynn because she's going to start to walk through the building and talk to you a little bit about the building and the exhibits we have. So Lynn, I'm going to turn this over to you. It's very exciting, so please ask questions if you guys have any. Okay, Lynn?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, MaryEllen, for introducing the project and some of the parameters. I'm going to go back to this slide for a minute on the Da Vinci experience, because I think it's really important in terms of who we are and how we will set ourselves apart. You know, Walter Isaacson in his book on Leonardo said that what made Leonardo a genius was his insatiable curiosity. Some of you might know he never finished anything, so because he was constantly, you know, jumping to study things further. But we really want to spark students' curiosity and encourage visitors to think like Leonardo and promote discovery learning. And, you know, if we can create a love of learning, that will stay with those individuals through a lifetime. Okay, so suddenly, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat, I apologize. So here you see the top 2 levels of the new facility. MaryEllen was showing you the STEAM Learning Center before. There's a big difference in elevation between the front entrance at Hamilton and the entrance on 8th. So for example, if you go back to, wait a minute, right here. So it's much lower back here than here. So we're kind of tucking in an extra floor here, that STEAM Learning Center. I'm going to start with the exhibit experience and then talk about the programs in the STEAM Learning Center after the exhibit experience. So here we're looking at the top 2 levels. The STEAM Learning Center is kind of underneath. And you see Hamilton on the, where my cursor is to the left and 8th Street to the right. And our main public entrance, which MaryEllen showed you before, is off Hamilton Street. Then you'll come into a lobby. All the colored areas are the permanent exhibit experiences. There's a big courtyard in the middle called Curiosity Hall. That is 50 to 60 feet tall. We're actually investigating that a little, a relook at the design of the building. But you see the hole kind of in the top level. So that's that courtyard. There's a changing exhibit gallery over here. So we can bring in the big exhibits like Pixar, Harry Potter. You know, we won't need to go to New York or Philadelphia to see some of those. And then in the upper level, it's all exhibits with a cafe and terrace. So we're going to look at some of these exhibit experiences a little further. Oh, I want to point out one other thing. So we're going to look first at Curiosity Hall, which will have a big projection of a 50 to 60 foot body. Behind it, we're going to have an immersive body experience that's also 40 feet tall. It's kind of from the trunk of the body up. So I'm just pointing out where that is for right now. Some of you may have seen this rendering. This is a rendering from the concept design, but it still holds true. So here we're projecting an image of the Vitruvian person onto the wall. And this is in Curiosity Hall, which will provide a central gathering space and will feature large multimedia programs, as well as opportunity for individuals to explore in greater depth either Leonardo and tap their curiosity, or explore some of the anatomical programs. So this monumental figure obviously takes its inspiration from Leonardo. This woman is at a kiosk. She's watching this multimedia program, and it's projected on all the walls. And we'll offer these programs periodically throughout the day. While watching the show, she can explore specific areas of interest. So if there's a certain topic or something that comes up on the screen, on the kiosk, there'll be the opportunity to explore those further. In the Leonardo da Vinci Curiosity program, visitors will be introduced to the life and work of Leonardo da Vinci and his insatiable curiosity. And this will really set the stage for their exhibit. You see all these people images around on the walls. These are others like Leonardo. You too can be like Leonardo and explore your dreams and tap your curiosity. And of course, one of the stories will be about Charlie Dent over here in the upper right, and the horse. So a little bit more about Curiosity Hall. Of course, in this hall, we're going to bring this Vitruvian person to life, and there'll be three main components of the experience. And I was just talking about the third component. So the first is dynamic projections of animations onto this. The body will be almost like a relief onto this relief, and you'll have an opportunity to learn more about the different systems of the body. And then while these programs are going, again, visitors can be at kiosks and explore different things further. So this image to the left where my cursor is, that might be one of the anatomical programs. Here's an animation, and you're looking at the skeletal system. And you could be at a kiosk and investigate more, maybe your hip because you have a bad hip, or whatever the topic might be. Then the second one is there will be kiosks where visitors can take a selfie photo. So you'll be able to take a picture of yourself, and what's going to show up is your head, and then create an avatar. So in this case, these kids, she maybe wants to be an astronaut. So she's projecting herself onto this 60-foot body as an astronaut. Or here's some kind of medical profession or scientist, and this kid is projecting himself. And then, of course, the third is the Da Vinci Curiosity Media programs. And I just have an image of with Da Vinci drawings here. And I just spoke about those on the prior slide. So that will be Curiosity Hall, the central gathering place. Now, on the second floor, there's a large exhibit about my body. And it's designed to celebrate the human body, explore how it works, and explain how to keep it healthy. To the right, you see this Vitruvian hub. So each of the major themes of the exhibit is going to have one of these interactive stations, and visitors through gesture-based technology will explore that particular topic and interact with the images on the screen. And I'll show you a floor plan in a minute so you can see how that plays out. And then along the bottom, these are samples of the kinds of murals we might have, full, floor to ceiling, around the topic of my senses and the opportunity to explore further your senses. I also want to note that everything, as you can see, maybe from the top of this Vitruvian hub, everything will be in Spanish and English throughout the Science Center. We think that that's really, really important. So here's a little bit more about the My Body. Now, I know this is a little bit small. I'll try to point out a couple of things. So there's kind of 5 main themes listed to the left. And each of these themes is labeled also on the diagram, caring for my body, my amazing body, using my body. And as you can see, these circles are where those Vitruvian hubs will be. And so in the case of caring for my body, the topic to be explored here will be healthy habits. So in the case of seeing my body, the topic that's going to be explored is the Vitruvian self-expression. So in some cases, there'll be opportunity to interact with the Vitruvian image on both sides of the circle. Surrounding these stations, there's a lot of interactive exhibits exploring these topics further in depth. And then on the lower right side, this kind of peach mauve color area, this is the immersive body experience. And this is going to be one of the most iconic experiences in the new Science Center. This is that area where I was showing you that's behind the 60-foot body in Curiosity Hall. So throughout this whole experience, visitors are going to consider multiple aspects of their body and how it's represented in different contexts, its amazing natural capabilities, what we can do to take care of our bodies, and some of the advances in science, technology, engineering, and math that are going on in the medical field. I think when you think about the 52,000 residents within 1 mile walking distance, we're partnering with healthcare networks to work on this. This becomes an opportunity to learn about your health and how to take care of your health in a different way. And we've talked with some of the residents, and I just remember a couple of the women saying, I'd much rather learn about cancer or whatever the topic is in the Science Center, than in the emergency room or my doctor's office. Here's another rendering of this exhibit experience. So this is the Vitruvian hub about seeing my body. And in this area, visitors will explore and celebrate their unique bodies as they relate to their diversity and individuality, and also culture from some of the physical traits that we inherit. In this area, visitors will also explore ways our bodies express our identity, health, and emotions. So to the right is a really interesting exhibit experience called the Portrait Mosaic. And each of these faces is a composite divided into sections that are joined together to create kind of a novel facial configuration. So at the kiosk at the end, right here, visitors will take their picture. And I think they take a series of 5 pictures, and there'll be some questions in terms of how they position themselves. And then their picture gets divided into sections and will appear, those different sections will appear as part of this portrait mosaic. So the intent here is to highlight the Lehigh Valley's unique, diverse community brought together by what it means to be human. We're all humans. Then I said this immersive body. So this is a sketch of the immersive body. You can see it's quite large when you look at the scale of the people. It's very playful, and it's going to spark curiosity about what's inside your body. So there's kind of a fanciful image. So you see the head up at the top, there's arms coming down the stairs, or arms going over here to an activity for toddlers called the elbow room. You've got 3 levels. There's the lower level, which has this immersive crawl through tunnel of the intestines. That's going to be maybe gross inside. We'll see what happens. Children will love to crawl through it. There's going to be elements embedded in the walls and ceilings and floors, and a lot of sensory experiences. Here you have the heart and the circulatory system. And at the top, you'll be exploring the brain and the nervous system. you get to this by stairs, or there's a drop off from the elevator on the mezzanine level, and you'll come out up here where my cursor is, and then there'll be ramps that will take you down to the middle level. We want to make sure everything is accessible. So this, I think, is going to be really, really fun and lots of opportunity for learning. I'm switching now to another exhibit. This is also a major iconic exhibit. I want to look at the middle piece first, but this exhibit is about the watershed. This is on the second floor, and it's another immersive experience where you're immersed into the natural world of the watershed. And the whole idea is to encourage visitors to slow down and observe the wonder of their surroundings and think about their role in protecting and preserving the watershed. So the big iconic experience is, we'll show you an image of this, a rendering in a minute. This is a recreation of the Pocono Ravine in the northern part of the Poconos. It's going to feature the North American river otter. So these blue things are pools where the river otters will play. They've got some dig basins, there's a log, and then there's windows, viewing windows for visitors. There's a huge eastern hemlock tree, which is native to Pennsylvania. There's going to be a big waterfall that's over here that drops into this one pool. It's going to be really quite the amazing experience. So that's like the Pocono Ravine. Now you actually get into the Pocono Ravine over where my cursor is, and you come into a cave and walk through the cave to get to the Pocono Ravine. I'll show you an image of the cave shortly too, but down here on the left is kind of a layout of the cave. In the cave, you're going to be introduced to the watershed and the geographic and geological characteristics of the region and how they developed over time, and the basic characteristics of the local caves. They're going to meet some local bats. This is going to be a holographic image. So we'll have a number of animals in this exhibit experience. They're all live except for the bats. You know, the bats are not live. And so you'll also be introduced to the impact of humans on the environment. When you exit this Pocono Ravine, you go out through the top and you enter an exhibit area called Conservation at Work. And here you learn more about further about the impact of humans on the landscape and wildlife, and about some conservation that's underway in our community. When you go out of the Conservation at Work area, you're into this big gallery over here on the right. And in this watershed gallery, you can explore 4 different habitats: a pond, a riparian stream, let's see, a vernal pool, and I feel like there's another one. Nope, there's 3, sorry, my mistake. Okay, and in each of these habitats have flora, fauna, and animals. So in the pond, for example, there's a painted turtles and some bass and some fish. In the stream, there's some schooling fish, but it's really talking about riparian zones. In the vernal pool, there's interactive experiences, and you've got frogs and shrimp and salamanders and egg masses. We've designed this whole area, all the parts on this page, with the Wildlands Conservancy, and they have been integrally involved in shaping some of the key messages and also what flora and fauna, animals and plants we're including. So here's an image of the Pocono Ravine. So you've got this large pool here, you've got some river otters. There's a 40-foot waterfall. The water is real. The rest of the images will be designed and installed to look very, very realistic. This is the Eastern Hemlock. And here's some kids, our family, checking out the river otters. And then this is a rendering of the cave. So notice the rock formations. There's bats over here to the upper left. They're created through a Pepper's ghost effect. And then through the stalactites and stalagmites, visitors can consider climate change, as they look at these geological formations. So this is going to be really fun. Certainly when we talk to kids and show them different images, it's the Pocono Ravine with the river otters that they love the most in terms of plans for the new Science Center. Whoops, wait a minute, I'm going to the next slide, but it's not working. Okay, then there's an exhibit experience called Science in the Making. This is on the first floor, right when you walk in, it's off the lobby. And the whole idea is to experience scientific phenomenon and see how they're applied in manufacturing. and to show off regional industry and manufacturers and expose kids to careers. So I can, so there's kind of 5 zones in here exploring different topics. These are small, but there's like matter, motion, sound, light, so, and electricity, all things in the physical sciences that kids study in school. And then, and so, you know, some kind of ways we can explore these. There's an exhibit called Icy Bodies in the matter area. So these will be fun, interactive experiences. We've got pulley chairs. There's a dinosaur that we're developing with Bosch Rexroth. So lots of fun activities associated with these topics around sciences. But then we want to, through manufacturing objects and interactives, have visitors learn about products made in the region and how these science principles are applied in manufacturing. You know, so I'm thinking way back when I was a teacher in middle school, you know, the whole question about why do I have to learn this anyway? Why do I have to study this science stuff? So if we can show those important connections. So for example, there's an exhibit here called the ATAS Roll Former. ATAS is actually the title sponsor of this entire experience. But in this exhibit, visitors will feed a flat sheet of cardstock through a roll forming device to create a corrugated sheet. So this activity simulates real world metal manufacturing processes. So showing that kind of thing, the Victaulic pipe organ, which is very cool. This is actually a science interactive experience with pipes, but there'll be valves and fittings on these pipes. And you'll take a paddle and pound on openings in the pipes to create music. But then depending upon the opening and closing of the valves, you know, you're going to get different sounds. Well, all those valves and pipes and fittings are produced, you know, locally at Victaulic. There will be career kiosks. So we want to expose kids to careers. There'll be like little quizzes asking what they're interested in, and then we can match them up with potential careers and start introducing them to the pathway they might take to pursue those careers. But we've then got to connect them with the Lehigh Valley Workforce Board, you know, to develop those plans further. And the ATAS Garage. So this part over here is a maker space. It's a space where kids get engaged, kids and families together or school groups together get engaged in solving design challenges. And it's kind of designed like a garage. So it's kind of a fun design. So here's an aerial view, a sketch that the exhibit designers recently gave us. So this is the garage over here with the tables and workshop benches. Now it doesn't show stuff out there. Again, they're doing this conceptual design. So you have the different topics. So there's a light and color experience over here. There's actually electricity, a lightning experience. We're going to do some stuff with solar energy. We have solar panels on the roof. I want to point out this advanced manufacturing display where my cursor is right now. These are products on one side, and the other side, there's going to be these really cool videos in large scale, and I'll show you those in a few minutes. Here's the pulley chairs and the Victaulic exhibit with the pipes, the dinosaur over here. So there'll be lots of interactive experiences. Whoops, I went too fast. This just shows the kinds of science interactives and getting people really engaged. And you see the different companies participating in the design of the experience. This is what I was just speaking about, this inside the factory experience with the multimedia videos. So there are benches here, and you'll be able to sit down and watch some videos that will showcase advanced manufacturing and innovation and connect visitors to authentic stories of people and local companies. So here, I think this might be a Victaulic shot. I'm not sure. We've gathered a number of photos from Victaulic. And I'm watching what time is it. I'm taking a lot of time here. I mentioned traveling exhibits already, so we want to bring in the major traveling exhibits. There's a science theater, which I did not point out in the original design. It's connected to that Curiosity Hall, and it has retractable seating. So we'll be able to open up the wall between the two and host major events. But in the theater, we want to do dynamic shows. We can bring in NASA, but we can also be doing electricity demonstrations, which is kind of what's shown here. This guy has virtual glasses. Then that's a kind of a segue. Maybe I'll stop for a minute. So that's kind of the exhibit experience, because I want to go to the STEAM Learning Center and the program experience. I just dropped something. I'm not sure what that was, but but I want to see if there are any questions about the exhibit experience. And I'm not looking in the chat, so you have to help me, Carrie, if there's anything I need to answer right now. No? Okay. All right.
Sorry,
So
no questions. I was on mute. Nope, nothing in the chat just yet.
okay. All right. Then we just have a few more slides. So this is the STEAM Learning Center, which MaryEllen shared with you before. This is the home of our outreach and professional development programs. In addition to having classes and workshops right here on site. This is kind of a blow up of the classroom space. And really in this Da Vinci STEAM Learning Center, we want to provide in-school and out-of-school experiences and expand the access for youth across the region, but especially those youth in Allentown. 43% of the school district kids live within 1 mile. You know, it's the densest populated area in the valley. This can be a laboratory for training pre-service and in-service teachers, certainly exposing them to careers, but also engaging them in project-based learning in preparation for the new standards that Pennsylvania will be adopting in 2 or 3 years. You know, we're partnering with the school district because the school district, you know, we really want to look at how we outfit these labs with them so we can complement and extend the resources available in the school district. I use the example of Nichman, for example, in the Bethlehem School District has these amazing design and engineering labs. That kind of thing we could offer. It's not available in Allentown. That might be available for middle school and high school kids especially. Now, this is also another floor plan for that lower level. You can see there's workshops and offices. So the STEAM team and the outreach programs are based here. I just showed you the 4 classrooms. There's also another big area that is not in our base budget, but we are digging it out now because we'll never get to later because this is kind of the lower level, but this is actually under the front entrance to give us another 4,200 square feet. And we envision this potentially as a youth center, a drop-in center, as well as a fab lab. Potentially working with and modeling some of this after some of the work Northampton is doing. You know, they've been talking with us already about what we might need. Northampton Community College, their stuff is a little heavier oriented to adults, but I think there's a lot of possibilities for us to collaborate with them, as well as the Carnegie Science Center. So the Carnegie Science Center has a terrific maker space. And we've really looked at some of the kinds of programs they offer, and there's others. But we're envisioning fully outfitting this potentially with 3D printers, laser cutters, that kind of thing. One of the, you know, so we're going to offer a lot of the traditional kinds of programs we've been offering, science clubs, summer camps, after school programs. But one of the new programs that we're hoping to actually start next school year, it won't start in this facility, but to start this kind of program is a STEAM career ladder program. And we want to work with kids from 6th grade through 12th grade and provide a continuum of experiences for them, which include education, mentoring. So you see field trips, so they can go on trips to other sites, education, mentoring. When they get into 9th and 10th grade, they start shadowing and working on the floor of the Science Center and helping to deliver programs in the STEAM Learning Center or helping to introduce visitors to some of the exhibit experiences. Then, and preparing them with employability skills, because we want them in paid internship experiences in 11th and 12th grade. Some of those might be at the Science Center, but some of them might be in local corporations. And we're going to design the program so students earn a STEAM certificate while they're getting this employability training, leadership development, and these various experiences. And so then this slide just talks a little bit more about what it is. It's a series of graduated opportunities starting in middle school and continuing through high school to prepare students for STEAM or STEAM education careers. You know, imagine if we could recruit a lot of students who wanted to become teachers. There's a huge teacher shortage. And if we recruited people from the local neighborhoods, including Bethlehem South Side and Easton, to think about being teachers, and they were more representative of the diversity of the student body in some of these urban schools, it'd be really interesting. And I've talked about some of these leadership skills we wanted to develop in the internship experiences. We're targeting middle and high school students. Our priority is on Allentown youth, but we will open it to youth across the region. For example, we're having discussion right now about partnering with the Boys and Girls Club in Easton to start this program. They're doing a lot of career pathway development programs, and we might be able to introduce this STEM component, and it could be really interesting. So in closing, these are two students from Harrison Morton. There's videos of them on the website. I encourage you to check them out. They are awesome. And they are the reason we're doing this project, right? Our mission is to bring science to life and lives to science. And they are the why we're doing it. We know that scientific literacy makes a huge difference in people's lives, not just those who are pursuing STEAM careers. And you see the quotes they have. So Celazandra wants to be a web designer or programmer. She had never been to the Science Center when we invited her to do this video, and she brought her younger brother, I think one sister and one brother. And I had the opportunity to meet her and to meet Gilbert. And so Gilbert wants to be, he said he wants to go into cooking and mechanics. And he didn't think he needed science for those. So we had the conversation, and then he's like, oh, I think I do need science to help me to pursue these careers. And finally, this is a night shot of the STEAM Learning Center that we think is very beautiful. And you can see the size of the building better on this view. On the front on Hamilton, you only see that narrow entrance, but here you see it's pretty massive. But obviously you've got the Grand Plaza, which is even much more massive next to it. So that's it.
Lynn, there's one question in the chat, and it's it's a clarifying question when you mentioned opportunity. Is that something that's not planned yet, like a phase 2 of construction?
I mentioned what? I didn't hear that part. A student.
An expansion opportunity?
Yeah. So we will dig out that shell. There may be some funders that really want to do that now. And it could happen with the construction of this current facility, or it may happen later. But we're going to make sure we have the space prepared depending upon the total funding. We're doing well on the funding. The costs are escalating. No surprises. You're watching everything on the media, right? So we're having to adjust a little bit our expectations. So we're working to put that together. We have raised just under 60 million towards the building. So we will go to construction this spring. We have the money to issue for a GMP for Butts. We still are raising money for exhibits, and programs. And the exhibits are $15 million. It's a big deal. We're spending, as you can tell, from all the stuff we're creating. We're trying to create an experience that's more like what you would go to in a metropolitan region, for this kind of science center. Not as big a science center, it wouldn't be appropriate for Lehigh Valley, but we're trying to create a dynamic experience. So we're still raising money, but we do have the money to go to construction. There's no question. And we're trying to just get all the financing together because a lot of it's public money. But MaryEllen has been doing awesome on the private campaign as well.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, this, as you can see, Youth Center, Fab Lab, what we really want to be able to do is add to the environment of after school support to students. So drop-in places where students can go from school, where they can do something that's fun and they can learn something, and it's a place where they want to go. So we're trying to include ourselves and be a part of that after school environment in a larger way. And this area, this location within the building would help us do that.
Obviously, we will do that in these classrooms also, but to be able to outfit this kind of space, I think would be really exciting. And, kids could be prototyping. There's some woodworking kinds of activities. There's CNC equipment. They would have to take a class to be certified to be allowed to use the equipment. But I think it would be a pretty dynamic. We've also looked at a model in Springfield, Ohio. There's many models of this kind of work. So we're not reinventing the wheel here, but it would be great I think in downtown Allentown.
May I ask a question? This is Erica at the Community Foundation. Is this a good time for question and answer?
Yeah. Go
Okay,
ahead,
great.
Erica.
Well, first, I echo everyone's comments in the chat box that this is very exciting for Allentown, and kudos and congratulations to Da Vinci Science Center for making it this far and getting ready for construction. It's really, truly an accomplishment and a very exciting one. I have a few questions. First, I guess for MaryEllen, for those who wish to support this project, what investment opportunities are available for a donor? So for example, is there specific exhibits or something that can be contributed to, or is this all construction costs right now? And then two, I'm sorry if I missed this, but what's happening to the Cedar Crest location then and the exhibits that are there?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question and I'll let Lynn answer the second question. The answer to your question, Andrea, is that yes, we have a lot of very specific opportunities within the build. And so we have been, for no other word, selling, or those have been taken by a lot of our corporate and private funders, but we still have a lot of opportunities available within the building if somebody wanted to put their name on something very specific. And I think the best way to do that is to reach out to me and I can share with you what your interest might be. We have 4 primary categories, as Lynn had mentioned. You've got the healthcare environment, you've got the manufacturing environment, the conservation environment, and then our education components. There are actual things in every single one of those that are still available at different levels of support. And then we have our ongoing annual support that we need to continue to raise funding for, and we have sponsors for our annual support. So if anybody is interested in knowing about where we are in the building, what is left, what is remaining, and we've got a lot of really cool things remaining, just reach out to me and I can share those with you based on what your interest is. I think I'm going to pass it over to Lynn about the new building. There's been a lot of conversations, but I'll let her address that.
Great. I'm going to add one thing first to what you said. A big opportunity, I think, is access. So we want to make sure that anyone who wants to visit can visit regardless of their economic means. And that includes, folks across the valley. I have to say, I think we're kind of biased. We want to focus on the Lehigh Valley in terms of providing that access. We're hoping to get a lot of other visitors beyond that are, will pay good money. But that's really important. And access, it's not just a one-time, one-day, free day. It's ongoing access. Because there's studies that show just visiting science centers, not even taking a class, your interest increases each time you visit. And interest is linked to achievement. We all know we do the stuff we're interested in, right? And so we get better at that stuff. And so we want to make sure there's ongoing access. And then those individuals can take programs. If they're in the manufacturing area and they did this career thing and they think it's kind of cool and they like to do more around robotics, then they can see next steps and they can take classes. They can pursue a STEAM certificate. So access is really important to us. So the Cedar Crest facility is, the board has not made a decision on the Cedar Crest facility. I don't think we will have another ticketed venue because they're only 3 miles apart and we would be competing with ourselves. So it won't be ticketed. It may be a venue where there are other additional programs. Or, we have been in discussion certainly with Cedar Crest. Are they interested in the facility? So we're not there yet. Obviously, we need the facility for another 2 years at least, because we will continue operating as right up to or as close as we can to the opening of this new facility and, be doing all kinds of cool stuff. But we have not made a decision yet. I would expect in this next year, we will need to make that decision.
And I think it's important for everyone to know, just because we're building this new center, we have a lot of new and exciting things that are happening in our current center. So we're building a runway to the new center. So we're tethering a lot of what we're doing in the new building to education programs that are happening in our current center. So as the building is built, we will be doing live video to the building and showing students architecture and interviewing the various people building the building. So we will be using the building as an education environment itself over the next 2 years. And then any exhibits that we refresh and anything new we do in our current center will have a tether to the new center. So we're just not being stagnant where we are. There's going to be a constant development, growth, and energy around where we're going, but where we are now.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're doing in that regard, and we would be doing even if we weren't building the new science center, is fully embracing equity. And I think we have 4 strategic priorities for the next 3 years. One of them is build a new building, so no surprise. But one of them is embracing equity and across the organization strategically. We've started working on the hiring piece and the changing job descriptions so that we can be more attractive to a more diverse population, also looking at different ways that we get the word out about new positions. We are engaging Faces International to start some training for our board and staff. We have done in the past, we've done, I would say reasonably well with the LGBTQ community and have both reflected in our staff, but also in changes that we made even in the physical environment at the Science Center. I think we've done well in that area. We started with training. We need to address the race and ethnicity in a much, much stronger way. We have an ongoing Women in Science initiative. So all of these individuals are not well represented in the STEM, just in STEM in general, whether it's universities, research institutions, providing opportunities for people from diverse backgrounds, including women, is really, really important. And so we'll be working on a strategic plan. We'll be working on how can we be more welcoming. Now, we're starting now. We're not, waiting for the new Science Center. When you come in, if you don't see people like you or in the exhibit experiences, learn about people from different backgrounds that have been successful, it's viewed as a white space. So we have a lot of work to do, but our staff is actually passionate, which is very exciting, about doing this work. And community organizations are really helping us a lot. We're working with Promise Neighborhoods. I think they're going to be really helpful in engaging more different audiences now. So we have a lot on our plates, obviously, in terms of moving to build this new Science Center and moving to be more equitable and keep bringing science to life and lives to science every day, even during COVID, right? So I hope we get out of this COVID thing relative. I realize it's going to be ongoing, but I hope we get to a different place soon because we're all tired of it, right?
I echo that comment, Lynn. Thank you for bringing up equity. I saw a few comments in the chat box about that and the accessibility. I think that's really critical. And how amazing would it be if we could have the museums and learning centers in downtown Allentown all free for Allentown School District students? That would truly be an incredible array of options for after school programming. So I really appreciate you bringing up. That's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, we just had a big meeting about that earlier today, Erica. And the other part of access is transportation. We have the east side of Allentown, which is across the river. And one of the things that some of our community partners have pointed out is you can create free access, but if the students don't have the ability to get to your building, then the free access doesn't matter also. So we're creating funds around access and transportation. So, and we're trying to start those things now because we are not downtown yet. And we want to begin these initiatives and encourage the diversity, access, transportation now. So we're working on that right now. And then we will pull that down into downtown.
Including across the region, regular participation in a STEAM career ladder program. I think we've got to go to Easton, for example. It's a long way away. And so we're looking at partnering and getting some portable equipment and what that might mean. Bethlehem, South Bethlehem is one bus. You can take one bus to go. You don't have to change buses to go from South Bethlehem to the bus terminal on 7th. That's kind of interesting. Now that's not true. It's a little more challenging, but that's kind of interesting. And I don't know how well received that will be by kids or families that might need to do that, besides, working to provide other transportation. I would say for this new science center, we should not be building this science center if we don't figure out how to engage all of those local audiences and those particularly that are underrepresented. We should not, at this location, we should not, what's the point, So we're pretty committed to it, but we know we have a lot of work to do. But we do think it's going to capture their imagination. If we can get these kids in there, I think they're going to be wowed. So, and I just want to, stand in the corner and watch them and see what happens. So
I think it's going to be exciting for all of us, actually. I think this new center is really driven to all audiences. And so I really want the families to come in, and I can have a vision of the kids over here doing something and the adults over here doing something, because it is a vast environment for education and learning about things that many of the folks that would be coming here from downtown would not have access to. So I just think it's going to be an incredible resource to the local families for a lot of different things, for career opportunities, career education, healthcare education, and learning what could be. Because I think their field of vision is not as big as it could be. And this building will be able to provide that, I believe.
Yeah, you know what, Phoebe Harris, that what you just said makes me think of, I was having lunch with Phoebe Harris, I think it might have been last summer or maybe September, but she made a comment that had a big impact on me. So she said, there's the American dream, but these kids in these local neighborhoods can't even think about the American dream. But this kind of science center can help give them hope that they could potentially pursue the American dream. And I thought that was really interesting. So this is, by the way, is the terrace up here at night that comes off the cafe area. So that's going to be kind of a nice location with their events, but also we need it for spillover for lunches and all the large school groups, especially, that April, May timeframe that's so busy. So it has a roof type structure over it.
Well, we are thrilled and very grateful to have this opportunity. Erica, thank you for thinking of us. Carrie, thank you for facilitating. Are there any other questions before? I know that we wanted to stay within your time frame.
I don't see any more in the chat, but I just wanted to confirm that there's going to be live animals like river otters in your exhibit.
Oh yeah, there's live fish, live river. Yeah, we're going to have 2 Lehigh River otters, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of excitement around that. In fact, if you'd go to the front of the building, and I don't want to take up too much time, you will actually be able to see the waterfall and that Pocono Ravine experience from the street.
I went too far.
So it's going to be real right here. Yeah. If you can see the tree behind here, the waterfall's right there, and there will be 2 river otters in there. So I'm sure as people come in, they're going to be very excited to see the otters first, because of course they're silly little guys. But we also will have fish and turtles and snakes and all sorts of things that will keep the kids very interested. But it's really showing these students that live right downtown. It's amazing how many of them have never even been to the river. I'm shocked at that, and they live 2 blocks away. So this is going to be showing them an environment which is right in their backyard, but they've never seen. So it'll be fun for them to be able to experience that.
Really cool. Really very.
Yep.
Just checking the chat. I don't see any more questions there, but thank you, Lynn and MaryEllen, for this presentation. It was really, really interesting and exciting for all of us to get this sneak peek at what's going to be happening in the next 2 years. So we wish you the best of luck with it, and please keep us posted. We'd love to have some updates as you go through the process. And any last comments? Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This has been great.
Well, you guys will be able to see it from your offices. So, you know,
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
you're
say,
taking our parking lot.
yeah, yes, we know,
I know, I'm sorry.
we've heard that. Sorry.
Yeah, and we
Sorry,
park
I just
there.
stick that in there.
Yeah, we park there right now. We have an office. Some of you may not realize we have an office in the Butts building also. that
Yes, I'm
overlooks
sitting
the
in it
site.
right now.
Yeah, so I think she's by herself because we're trying to have as much work from home for people who can, or if you're there by yourself. And obviously the Science Center people have to go to work if they're, serving the public, but we're right overlooking the site. And so, so far it's not too exciting, but it will start to get exciting, but we park in that lot too. So we're trying to figure out.
Have to
So we
figure it out.
apologize, Erica, but it'll be really cool.
And
Well,
one thing
no,
with the
figure
Figure
walnut,
something out.
I think it'll help a lot when they get that new garage they're building done, but it's going to be a few months.
Yes,
So,
that's what I hear. Yes,
Okay.
and for any fund holders visiting us, you can also see the site from my office in our office kitchen. So we'll be keeping an eye on construction as well. So it'll be really exciting for everybody in the building.
Well, maybe in the
thanks
future,
again.
we could do a walkthrough or a tour of groups. So we'll just keep in touch with you guys.
Be
Sounds great. Well, thank you again.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
You.
much.
Take care.
Okay, bye.